So let's take it back to December when they went after Mario and broke the bank, and not only gave him a big contract, but they also gave him the money to hire some assistants and do it upright. So was that your number one guy?
Yeah, Mario was my number one guy at that time. You had a few guys that you thought about, but it felt right with Mario. I was still skeptical of the hire, but it felt right with him coming home. So yeah, I was good with it. I had two guys on the show. And one of the guys, Chuck Persons, who's huge at the University of Miami, he basically called it on that Thursday. We did a show on that Thursday. He said, "This is gonna happen Friday. This is gonna happen Saturday. This is gonna happen Sunday, and it'll be over with by Monday, and you'll have your coach." And he didn't say who it was, but we talked behind the scenes who it was, and everything he said panned out perfectly. So between Chuck and Billy Wilson, you know what I'm saying? Those guys gave me a lot of information on what was going on down there. And everything panned out exactly the way Chuck said it was gonna pan out. So I give Chuck a lot of credit because he didn't have to come on the show with all the ties he has at the University of Miami and everything. He didn't have to come on the show and basically break that news before it did. But I give all that to Chuck Person, man. He was wonderful when he did that. And Monday when everything broke, I was in Charlotte and we went live and it was crazy. And so many people were happy with it. So definitely it was definitely a booster. It was definitely a big boost for the University of Miami.
So Zoe, the ties to Miami are obvious, and so you got to believe that his heart's in it more so than if it would have been another choice. But in addition to that, when you see his work as a coach, as a recruiter, what's your analysis of that?
I was skeptical on him as a coach. As a recruiter, I was a little bit skeptical because I knew he was a great recruiter, but I didn't know if he was as great as everybody was saying he was because every recruiter at Alabama is the number one recruiter. If you recruit at Alabama, you're the number one recruiter. He did really good at Oregon. So I wasn't really skeptical as a recruiter. I think I was a little more skeptical as him being that he's never called plays on either side of the ball. That was my skepticism with Mario. What type of coaching staff he's going to bring in, and is he going to be afraid to bring in alpha males? And he landed he hit it on the head. Any question that I had about him as a coach, whether or not he could bring in the correct personnel and things like that, he shut me up quick. I mean, it wasn't quick because we went through a lot of this. We went through a lot with him when it came to how long it took him to hire coaches. But once the ball was rolling, he went. It was crazy. It was crazy. And what bugs me out is my first choice for defensive coordinator. My number one guy for defense coordinator was Charlie Strong, and he hired Kevin Steele, and I was like, "That's a great hire! Wow." Then a couple weeks later, he come back and hired Charlie Strong. I'm like, "Yo, what the freak?" Because that was my number one choice. Everybody had, well, who do you want as defense coordinator? I said Charlie Strong, Charlie Strong. That's why I wanted as my defense coordinator. So if you to bring him in as linebacker coach, and you look at the way these linebackers are talking about I was just like, so to me, what he's doing is almost taking a blueprint off of Nick Saban. He's hiring coaches. So if Kevin Steele was to get a head coaching job in 1 or 2 years, if Charlie Strong's still there, he can take over the defense. And that's what you want. You want to build depth on the coaching staff as well, and that's what he's doing.
Did the Josh Gattis hire, did that surprise you?
That surprised me, especially with him winning offense coordinator. I mean, was coordinator of the year. What he did at Michigan, to me, a lot of people like I heard some Michigan fans, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. He had a quarterback with a bum arm. All his receivers were done, and he changed up his whole system just for that running back. When you're able to adapt, and I always say this about coaches, when you're able to adapt to the talent that you have, I believe you can be a great coach. The only thing that kind of worries me about Gattis a little bit, and it's only because I haven't seen a game, is hopefully he doesn't change the offense too much because TVD flourished in that offense. So I don't want to see. Hopefully, he doesn't do too much of a change to set TVD back any. But the higher, I mean, it's not too many more coaches. You want offensive coach. You want coordinator of the year or something like that. You can't. There's no way you can turn that down.